Thursday night, gonna open up an oldie but a goodie. Not that oldie, but Stony Hill Chardonnay 2014. I talked about this wine when I discovered it not that long ago. I think I did 2013, and it was one of my favorite Chardonnays I've ever had. It's already got the 7 years of age on it. Restrained style, but was unbelievably awesome when I had it. I let it sit out a little bit, so it's a little warmer, which is good. I want it to be, it was in the refrigerator, so 40 degrees. I really wanted to come out at 50 something. I have a little crab stuffed tilapia with it. I think it's going to go perfect with it. Before I taste that, I'm going to have a little bit of the Recoltant, the Coombsville. Ironically, JJ Buckley put this back on an email today for $35 a bottle. So the regular Recoltant's $27, this is $35, so an $8 difference. You know, a little bit more elegance for the $8. I really want to see if that little bit of that green pepper blew off. I'm gonna have this after with some cheese as my dessert, but I want to have it up right now just a little bit. The pyrazines are gone off the nose for sure. It's not there. No, see, I just swirled it and I smell it now. You know, sometimes people call it like green coffee or like a unprocessed coffee bean aroma. I'm more sensitive to it, and I just call it green pepper and those pyrazines. That family of aroma. Yeah, it's there. It's there, and the regular Recoltant doesn't have it. I don't know if Coombsville's just known for that a little bit in their Cabernet. Maybe it's the vintage 2018. I know the other one was 2018 also. Like I said, it's still good. I just want to buy a case of this. So I did buy a case of the $27 regular Recoltant Napa, which I think is going to be like my sort of house wine, amazing wine to have. I'd like also to get some of the Pirouette that Philip Malcolm made out of Washington, what he helped make. So, see how it is on the nose, or on the palate? The tannins are really good. The mouth feels good. It's got that pyrazine green pepper thing. Just a little bit. 20%, 25%. The red fruit, the dark fruits are there. It's a good wine. It's just not anything beyond a four to five, which is still great wine, good wine. This happens with Cabernet at a Napa sometimes, right, in California, that you get pyrazines. It's not abnormal. I just don't want it to be all green pepper in my glass like that Carmenere, but this has a little bit of it. So we'll leave it open, maybe let it aerate even more. I'm gonna shift over to the Stony Hill, then I have a mini unboxing. And actually, as we're doing the unboxing, have a little of the Stony Hill right now. Smells, maybe after smelling a red wine, it's got a slightly different aroma there. But I got Meyer lemon right off the nose there. Meyer lemon, ripe lemon, like lemon pith, lime. Not a lot of tropicality, more and some sour fruits, some tart fruits. Getting like Granny Smith apple. I want this to open up a little more. Maybe warm up a little more. It's very cold. I think it's masking a little bit. It's amazing on the palate though, right now. Great acidity, amazing length. A little bit of that baked apple. You get the Meyer lemon, pineapple core, star fruit. It's a wonderful Chardonnay. It's just so good, so good. And with the age, I feel like this is an extremely age-worthy Chard. It's already got 7 years. I talked about this one at length. 13%. So they are going more restrained. That's even what they talk about on the bottle. You know, Chardonnay, that is food wine. fruity, non-oaky, non-malolactic, so they're not doing malolactic, so they are trying to preserve the freshness and the acidity of the grapes, which they absolutely are. That's great. I'm gonna let it open up a little more. Let's talk about some of the wines I bought today from Wegmans. I was at Wegmans to specifically buy a few sparklers, and I did about 2 Cremants, Cremant de Bourgognes, Blanc de Blanc. And then I saw they had a whole bunch of Bordeaux, and it's not always a store that has a lot of selection of Bordeaux. Burgundy, Wegmans Liquors, specifically in New Jersey, has a great selection of Bordeaux and Burgundy. I also went over to look for their Sangioveses, their Chiantis, horrible selection. I think there was like 2 or 3. Their Italian selection is actually pretty lousy. The French selection is very good. Their Spanish is pretty decent, but a great selection of like dessert wines. A lot of different stuff there. A lot of California. Even had some Finger Lake stuff. One that I ironically watched a video on, Herman J. I forget, Weimer or something, in the Finger Lakes. But back on topic here, I went specifically to buy what I bought, and then I saw the Bordeaux, and I went over and I said, well, I wonder if they have any aged Bordeaux. So this was the oldest one they had, a 2009, which is an amazing vintage out of Bordeaux. And this is Pistacles Agnon, so it's left bank. So it's going to be probably a little cab heavy, but definitely Merlot mixed in. The bottom, the southern part of the left bank has a little bit more Merlot mixed in the Pistacles Agnon. So this is a 2009. I know nothing about Chateau Lagarde, but I just bought it based on it being a good vintage. Now this wine was, this isn't the receipt. So I think it was $45. So none of these wines that I bought were cheap, but none of them were super expensive either. So then I looked at my vintage chart and I said, you know, I don't have a lot of Bordeaux. Let's just buy some Bordeaux. And I know there's been some great vintages. So I looked it up, and left bank, it's cab heavy. 2016 is sort of the oldest vintage that they had there that is rated super high. And then the right bank, 2015's, was the vintage that was rated super high. And I was, 18 is rated super high, but I didn't want any 18s. I wanted to buy as old as I possibly could find. And this isn't even that old, obviously. So Saint Estephe, left bank, Chateau Tronquoy Lalande, 2016. Doesn't say anything on the back for composition, so just assuming it's cab heavy. Does put 14.5%. So number 2, Bordeaux. And the theme was Bordeaux for sure. Then I bought this one. I know this one cost a little extra money. Saint-Emilion, so right bank, Merlot heavy most likely, and Cab Franc. Again, doesn't say on the back, but 15%. I'll probably look these up when I try them. Chateau Tour Saint Christophe, Saint-Emilion, so right bank of Bordeaux. Oh, I did buy a Bandol too. Oh, Bandol being a rosé. So a little bit about rosé. Rosé's made in a number of different styles from a lot of places in the world. Rosé every year they say is going through a renaissance, and everybody wants rosé again. It's really considered a summer wine. Certainly you can drink it all year round. Red to me isn't just a winter wine. I drink it all year round. I don't drink rosé all year round, honestly. I think I do prefer it for a barbecue day, beach day, something like that. But when I do buy rosé, I do buy Bandol. I like the rosés out of Bandol. I believe overall quality. I know Provence is the most well-known place for rosé, but I prefer Bandols, and this is made most likely from Mourvedre. That's what Bandol is known for. So the Mourvedre, great. I'm not sure exactly how they're doing it. Are they bleeding it off a Bandol red wine and making it? They're making it through another method. I'm not even sure. Maybe they're pressing the grapes lightly, just giving them a few hours of color, then it gets rosé. There's a number of different ways. The cheapest way is just to mix a red and a white, and that gets done, and you get rosé. Those are the cheapest. But the ones that they call the Saignée method, where they're bleeding off the red wine. So there's 2 things. You're making a red wine, you bleed off some of that wine to make a rosé, and then it's concentrating the red wine even more. So you concentrate your red wine, which is a plus, you just don't want to overdo it, and you're making a rosé at the same time. So you're not wasting any of that. So it's got two positives, as long as you're doing it carefully. So, Bandol Rosé. What is this one? Castillon. So right bank. Not Centimillion, not Pomerol, so sort of a lesser side of the right bank, but 20. Did I just buy the wrong? Did I do it reverse? 2016, 2015. I'm getting them all confused now. Castillon, Côte de Bordeaux. Pretty sure it's one of the smaller areas on the right bank. Chateau Montalandry. So I did just say that 16s on the left, 15s on the right. Hope I didn't get that all confused. Doesn't really matter all that much, but Castillon, but it is right bank. So Merlot, Cab Franc, most likely. And I think I bought another Castillon, 2016. Yep, another one. Chateau and Palia. I've never had any of these Bordeaux, these chateaus, none of them. Not one. Oh, and this one says 80% Merlot, 20% Cab Franc. So there it is. And you know, good vintages out of Bordeaux. That's it for the Bordeaux. So 5 Bordeaux. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll try them on camera or talk about them on camera when I open them. So many Bordeaux. It's like knowing every Napa wine. It's just impossible. So knowing every chateau, just impossible. I know some of the good ones. I know the first gross. I know a fair amount of the second, third, fourth, fifth, and those were established on the left bank in 1855. They only added one extra to the first gross with Mouton Rothschild in 1973, I think. That all went by price back in 1855. Some places didn't even, you know, put in to get counted. The right bank has their own system, but they review it every bunch of years. I think it started in 1955. They reviewed it over and over. They call it different Grand Cru Class A and B. I forget exactly all of it. It almost doesn't really matter. But in a good vintage, and typically when they're rating these vintages higher and higher and higher, these are the riper and riper vintages. And I've been saying it that as much as I gravitated toward that, 2005 was a very ripe vintage, but I still believed it tasted absolutely like Bordeaux. But every 04 I had, which was not a great vintage, was awesome. I think 06 or 07 was kind of a lousy year. I think 07. 06 were fine. 07 was lousy. Then I start losing it. 9 and 10 were amazing. The prices skyrocketed. Then you had a number of, I don't even know anymore. I've kind of lost track. But obviously 15, 16 being good. I don't even know about 17. I think 18 is great across the board. Looks like 19 and 20 are going to be decent. Just seems like there's more and more and more and more great vintages because of the climate shift. And not necessarily the warming, but the way the weather patterns have changed. When the warmth comes, how much warmth comes, when it comes. Are they picking early or later? The real big problem is that they get rain near harvest because the grapes swell. You get more of a watery wine rather than a concentrated wine. Everybody wants concentrated, not watery. But in everything, there's balance. So, never had any one of these. It'll be fun to try. Oh, all good vintages. So 09, 15, 16. 3 great vintages. I expect every one of those wines to be good. So when I don't know Bordeaux or I don't know Burgundy, I stick to those great vintages or some of the markers. I've set it for Burgundy. Premier Cru means it's probably good. Grand Cru, forget about it. It's going to be amazing, most likely. And not necessarily the case every time, but sometimes. So I think that's where it lays. So we'll see how those are. I need some Chiantis for sure. In my cellar, I have none. I have a bunch of Brunellos, but when I have a wine with some sauce and some acid, or some food with some sauce and some acid, I'd like a Chianti or something to go with it. I know I keep saying I'm going to buy those 10 Brunellos 2016s. I haven't done it yet. So longer video than I wanted. Dinner time. Good night.